I've been doing this for you, people. I've been adjusting myself so you understand me. I've been adjusting myself, otherwise I don't fit in. You find me weird. And I thought, I don't want to do that anymore.
And someone would say, why are you taking it apart? It was working before. Like, yeah, but I want to know how. I want to know why it does what it does.
Who is this idiot? Where do we put him? In what kind of box? Well, at the moment, I'm in the box of nonlinear thinking. There's a new title for this show. Welcome to the guys in their midlife crisis.
Totally. Hello, sir. Good morning, Dr. Octopus.
Hey, Kyle.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. How's the week? How's the energy? How's the juju this week?
The energy is horror. I've been sick for almost a week now.
Oh no.
I have, yeah, I have brain injury for a long time, and sometimes that flares up. And I think it's change of weather in combination with all kinds of things. So I've been a bit under the weather, but I'm happy we're doing this. I'm happy. I was on the couch all day with my laptop, canceled the meetings, like fuck it. I'm not doing well. But I just had a meeting with Max from Pick My Brain and then with you to end the day well.
Well,
This gives me energy.
we're gonna get we're gonna get the energy lifted. Max and I had a great 1.5 hour brainstorm this past weekend. I mean, it was just like we were just catching us just out of the air.
Yeah.
Cool. So good. Yeah.
Yeah. See, there's me an idea as well. I'm very passionate about the question, how can I help you? Because after 3.5 years of working with the nonprofit, I've spoken with God knows how many people. I do like 7, sometimes 7 calls a day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the movement, people would ask me, how can I help you? And I would always be, I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. So I don't know how you're going to help me, right? Which is the wrong answer. I can tell you that. And, and but after 3.5 years, I'm like, oh, wait a second. This is what's going on. And most people don't understand this. And there's a duality in that answer. So every time someone is saying, I need more clients, I need more time, I need, these kind of answers, or I'm looking for an investor, like, no. And I train people now how to do that. And it's fascinating to help them and to show them how they're stuck in duality, which is linear thinking. And I help them to create a different answer. And if we nail it, it's awesome. It makes me so happy, because then if you know the answer to that question, what do you need? If you can answer that well, you already have it. That simple, right? If it's crystal clear and without duality, and when it's a fact, you already have it. And when it's duality, you don't have it, but you will never get it. And people will never help you to get that, because they don't want to be in that space of stress. And
Right. Yeah.
anyway, so Max was helping me to turn this into a, how did you call that again? Oh, fuck, I forgot. Anyway, some group coaching things, like, you need to do this, Barry. Oh yeah, you're right, Max.
Oh, to do like a group coaching for helping people sort of unblock.
Yeah, so I do it now one-on-one, but it's going to be what's it called? It's not a mastermind. It's you train one individual in a group, and everybody looks at how you do that and get inspired.
Oh, right. Yeah.
How do you call that?
I'm gonna put it in the show notes if I find it out.
Ah, anyway, so that's Max. Yeah,
Yeah.
is
Amazing.
that awesome? How are you?
I'm good. It's a good week. It's good energy this week, and good movement on things. And I'm so excited to I was so energized after our conversation last time, and I just love the way that you think and the way you approach things. So thank you, by the way, for coming on this and talking and
And I'm working on my stack list, as you can see.
No.
And as soon as when I think, oh yeah, this is nice, and I'm going to share it in the Octopus movie and explain these fuckers how to use this.
Amazed.
Um,
Did you see the
and
updates with the now the image cards and all the things? What do you
no,
think?
because I what is the update?
Like, when you go into the dashboard now, you basically all the cards, there's a new card layout, and then you can click on one and sort of blow it up and see the detail of each of the cards.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
but my art cards on Instagram are not showing the picture anymore.
Hmm. Oh, good. We'll have to
Damn.
debug
And
that.
I was curious if and I wanted to test if it works now, but I want to create a stack of cards about people who make a difference and link them to LinkedIn. But
Yeah.
when I use the LinkedIn profile link on a card, it's not working. And
I don't know a quick way to do it. I basically LinkedIn and Amazon are both kind of fortresses because they don't want anybody to sort of get in. But there's a way to basically grab that, and then also at the same time, you grab the person's image and put it on your desktop, and then just add your own custom image, but you're adding their profile photo in the card. So I'll show you that. But
yeah, but when I was using the URL of LinkedIn, so to direct people to that person,
right.
I couldn't save the card.
Oh, weird. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
We'll work on that. We're gonna screen share after we stop recording.
Okay. Let's
So
do the interview first.
let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the early, where where did Dr. Octopus come from?
Are we recording already?
We're in it. We're in the flow.
We're in the flow. Okay. So what do I need to explain?
Well, I think what's I love the story and the journey that you shared with me and, but I'd love to kinda know what's the background and the nugget of where you think your approach to life and the way you think about things? Where does that come from?
I don't know. That's the where is something coming from? I think if you know where it's coming from, it's not coming from anywhere anymore. It's I need to explain this, but where is this coming from? Um, of course, my homelessness got a huge impact on everything but that is happening now. But before the homeless, it's not like a normal life and everything was going as it should be going. And then I became homeless and then my life changed. I think it has always been there, but it's the homelessness created the possibility to bring it all together. Maybe that's, I find it so difficult, this question, because and, I keep explaining to people that nothing changed when I was homeless. And I mean that because here your thinking, your being stays the same. You know, how you see things and how you feel your love, how you see your kids, how you hug someone. It doesn't change if you're homeless or not. So in that perspective, nothing changed.
And maybe just
That
give a little context of that period of your life, just the kind of before and then during homelessness and then after, just for context.
before I've always been a bit of a weirdo. Not a bit. I've always been weird, and I like weird people. I've done things differently my entire life. I've always had people not understanding me. Like, he's weird. Why is he doing that?
Yeah.
And which he and now we're laughing about it, but it's not that funny. It's people want.
When you're growing up and when you're going through formative years, it's really difficult because you're just trying to figure out who you are and how that relates to other people. So,
Yeah, I
but now
think if you see it,
I love
but
the
I think
weirdness.
it's difficult your entire life if it doesn't find its place.
Hmm.
So, um, I've tried so hard to be who I was expecting myself to be, and at one point, I took the decision no longer. I was an entrepreneur. I was living in a beautiful house, girlfriend, everything. It was in Belgium, and then the relationship ended. Unfortunately, the landlord didn't like me, and everything went wrong. And that was the decision of, okay, but this, I don't want this. I don't, I've been trying so hard to be who I'm not, to please everyone, and now everything goes wrong. What the hell?
Right.
I don't want this anymore. I've been doing this for you, not for me, right?
And what age
That's
was this?
4 years ago.
Okay.
So I was 44.
Mhm.
I've been doing this for you, people. I've been adjusting myself so you understand me. I've been adjusting myself, otherwise I don't fit in. You find me weird. And I thought, I don't want to do that anymore. And I remember so well that in Brussels, I had a psychiatrist that I saw once a year after my divorce. And that this guy was awesome. He was a professor at the university in Antwerp in psychiatry. And I saw him once a year for an hour. And we always did one thing. How was this year? And how is the next year going to be? It was this maintenance, it was this maintenance checkup of my brain that I did once a year with him. And I remember one time I asked him, why is it that people always get upset with me, but I'm not doing anything wrong? What
Right.
is this? Why are people always getting upset with me? And I mean so well, and it's not happening. And that's the masking, and that's the trying to do what is expected from you. And I was fed up with it. So I decided this is the start of the homelessness to say, this is it. Uh, I'm not doing this anymore. I said to the landlord, you can have everything. I gave away everything and I walked away, and that was it. I have 3 kids, so walking away is not very easy because I didn't want to walk away from the kids. So my ex-wife wanted to kill me. I don't blame her, of course. Can you imagine your ex-husband, your ex-spouse saying, okay, I'm homeless now. Good luck. Um, I was homeless for 7 months, and it was very painful, very difficult. It was a lot of hardship that 7 months, um, because you're nothing. So I went from masking, trying to do my best for everyone, to be nothing for no one.
Right.
And people look at you like you fucking loser. You're nothing. And I went back to the Netherlands. My ex-wife wanted to go back to the Netherlands. And she said, now we're going back to the Netherlands because you're homeless. So I win. You have nothing to say. So she went back to the Netherlands, and I went back to the Netherlands, went to the government with my Dutch passport. Can you help me, please? I'm homeless and I don't know what to do. I need to see my kids. And their response, I'm not kidding. We didn't ask you to come back, Perry.
Wow.
Okay. So bottom line was, you're on your own. Get about it. And I wanted to have a postal address, was in line, didn't get a postal address. Then I said, I think that's not possible according to law. Then I had a security agent taking me out and these kind of things. So I was homeless for 7 months. Then I got into a house, saw my kids again, and I thought, I survived this. I freaking survived this.
Yeah.
And nothing changed what we earlier talked about. So I went from masking and trying to be someone to nothing, understanding that this stays the same. And
Right.
that's the best education in the world, to create something. Because, you know, fuck it, let's do it. I should be sponsored by Nike. Let's do it. You know, I've learned how to do that because you're on your own, basically. And you need to do it yourself. And this is the one you're taking with you. So how other people see you is irrelevant. Just need to be real. And it changed my life. I got rid of the mask. I became an artist because I wanted to be an artist. Who can define what an artist is? I want to be that, right? Um, Go away, you linear thinking. I'm an artist. And then I thought, okay, if I can do anything that I want, Then I want to create a global nonprofit and create the awareness of how awesome people are that don't fit in the box or just not precisely fit in the box. And I think we're missing out on an opportunity not to look at these people because they're the ones that are bringing in the brilliant ideas. But the duality is that we're not seeing them and we find them difficult and we have a strong opinion about them. But they're the ones who are creating innovation, the coolest companies and the movements. And we only celebrate them after they have achieved linear results. Before that, no way. So only a small percentage of these nonlinear weirdos are able to achieve tremendous linear results so the whole world embraces them and say they're awesome.
Yeah.
And I think if we're looking at the world as it is today with all the crises, education, homelessness, of course, hunger, climate change, well-being. My God, well-being is an issue, mental health, leadership. If we look at that, I think we need to look at the nonlinear thinkers, the people that don't fit into the box,
Right.
to learn and to see different ideas and use different thinking. So that's my life. So when you ask me, what happened? Well, a lot. And did I and also when I was homeless, I had no idea I was going to do this. When I was homeless, I was applying for jobs. I was sending out my resume like 70, 80 times in the Netherlands. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I have dyslexia, so I make mistakes. Um, and my resume looks like shit. I've done everything. I'm in China. I had my own TV series, but radio host, animal nutrition. I've done so many different things. And if someone of the HR department is looking at my resume, it must be thinking, who is this idiot? Where do we put him? In what kind of box? Well, I'm in the box of nonlinear thinking.
I love it. I resonate with so much of that. I think growing up, you know, m I had a fairly I had a very traditional, sort of family and growing up, going to schools and, my mom worked with my dad. My dad had his own practice, 40 something years, pretty routine in terms of getting up about 5 a.m., playing racquetball, going to work.
What kind of practice, Kyle?
I was a medical doctor, internal, medicine and rheumatoid arthritis. And, but come home, have dinner, watch a little bit of TV, make some calls, fall asleep in his chair, and then go upstairs and go to bed and kinda and do it again. And obviously, it was a noble pursuit for building what he built, and he built a nonprofit in Honduras, and raising us and providing for us. But I think I was always built different, and I was always down in my granddad's basement I would buy a computer and take it apart, and someone would say, "Well, why are you taking it apart? It was working before." Like, "Yeah, but I wanna know how. I wanna know why it does what it does." And I never sat well with school. Like, school and me was just oil and water. I had to do it by doing. And so you go through that period where I went through the sort of 7th, maybe no, 8th, ninth, 10th grade, it wasn't Ritalin, but it was in that very sort of, "Oh, I think he must have, ADD," it's not setting it's just not doing well in classes, and I just found it just boring as shit. Like, I just didn't wanna, like, I don't wanna sit and listen to you for an hour and then regurgitate it back to you. Like, I need to do it. But what's funny is the one thing that I excelled at was I started messing with computers around that time, took them apart. I would stay up late. I'd sneak out of my bedroom and I'd sneak downstairs and I'd like mess with my computer. And one of my teachers, our typing teacher, said, "Hey, Kyle, by the way, I think you like these computers. We're going to do a Future Business Leaders of America, Georgia state competition in a week, and no one really wants to sign up for the computers." What was it? It was computer information processing concepts, which is quite a mouthful, but like no one wants to sign up for it. Do you want to just go?" And she was like, "It's a day off of school, you get lunch." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great."
Sure.
She gave me sort of like some topics to review, and I sort of reviewed some topics. I ended up getting like 5th place in the state, like just from messing around, and like that's just how my brain works. And I think I resonate with so much with what you're saying also in that when I think about I went through the same thing. My mom passed last year and I hit my 45th birthday, and I had just sort of had it with this company that I was working for, just political and other stuff. And I left that company and I ended up getting my first 2 tattoos, which my dad growing up had always said, "No one in this household."
Way and be set up this in this household.
Right, but it was so
Little
funny in this
fighters.
45th year where I sort of felt like there was some I don't know why, not 50, but like 45 felt like, okay, chapter 1, volume 1 of this life is sort of up to 45. Let's say I go another 45, but then with my whole nuclear family, leaving and me also being in digital for 23, 24 years and just seeing the same things over and over, launching launching project after project after project for sort of big companies, and it always felt like, "We gotta get more of those, we gotta get more of those," that I just hit this change, and I went, "I'm not working for anybody else." I got my my 2 tattoos, but I also there was something about that sort of breaking and freeing from that first version of me that was always worried about what people thought and sort of and always had the wheel spinning of the right ways to position and say and do, and now I'm much more like, "I don't care." It's like if it fits in my rhythm, great. If it doesn't, then, I got other stuff to work on, so
There's a new title for this show. Welcome to the guys in their midlife crisis.
totally.
Right? Here we are, two guys showing their tattoos. Yeah, and like
Yeah, exactly. But think about it, it's interesting. The idea of a midlife crisis, could it also be breaking the linear thinking that you sort of are raised with, which says, "Here we go. We do school, we get good grades, we sort of go to higher education, we get good grades, and then we get a job out of that, and then we start building our resume."
Kyle,
You
there is no question about it. There is no linear 2-year-old. So nonlinear thinking is how our brain works. And then we grow up, we go to school, and we work in a company, and we have our parents in the household. And then, there's this research paper. It's so cool. I always talk about that. They did research on why some people are so freaking linear. Let's turn it around. Let's look at the people that are very linear. Tight, very much in control. Tight underwear, tight schedule, tight. Everything is tight.
Right.
Tight, tight everything. And why is that? It's so on the other side, people are more free to look at their own mental state. It means when I became homeless, I had no idea what I was getting into. It was big chaos, but I knew that I could survive with my mind. I would not go nuts. So how do I know that I won't go nuts? Because I'd been trained my entire life because people have been telling me that I've been weird. So my entire life, I've been asking myself, am I weird? What's wrong with me? Right? Dyslexia, ADHD on the spectrum. Fucking hell. Of course, you're going to ask yourself, what's going on with me? But that's a training to become very nonlinear because you allow chaos in your life because you know how you will respond to things. You know your mental state very well.
Mhm.
If you're not in that space, you don't want to go to your mental space. Space. You don't want to understand, or you find it scary to understand your own thinking.
Right.
And what is the response is let's organize everything so well that I don't have to go there. So if I know what I'm doing today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and everything is scheduled and everything is in a system, then I have it in control. Feels good, more or less. But there's this same nonlinear brain. So I like your theory that in your midlife crisis, you break free from that and you all of a sudden are aware of the fact that you're trapped in your isolation of bots scared the hell out of everything, created systems, and you're thinking, "Is this light? Is this how it should be?" Probably not, and then you buy a Porsche convertible with a new, younger girlfriend and whatnot. You discover the nonlinear.
Right. No, totally. And I think that is that while I think that has been sort of diagnosed and thrown around so much, I think what you're talking about is so interesting that it hasn't been diagnosed as sort of taking the red pill, sort of moving from linear to nonlinear thinking, but it has to be so many people getting to a certain point saying, "I've played the game. I've played it so well. I did what you want to. I did by all the rules, and what? What else is there? What else is there?" Right now, what? Right. And then that sort of breaks and you go, I think I can do something else, or I can think a different way, and it opens up and frees you from that. I always think about school records and resumes in my mind are those 2 sort of very linear, like, when you're in school, like, you don't wanna mess up your school records, and then when you start working, they're like, you don't wanna mess up your resume, like, you don't wanna only be here for a certain amount of time. So there's this, like, tunnel that you're just running down fast, but at some point you hit a point where you're like, "Why have I been running for this long?" Like, and to what? So but I love the fact that
Because you're scared.
yeah, right.
Like, I don't know what happens. So if I follow this, then I'm going to be fine. And I need to explain that nonlinear thinking is not the opposite of linear thinking. Most people think that, right? Because it's nonlinear. So there's a duality in linear versus nonlinear. But it's not, because linear thinking is creating the systems and going from point A to B to C and predictions and whatnot. Nonlinear thinking is not the opposite. Nonlinear thinking is not, oh, let's be creative and weird and we're so nonlinear, because you can be very creative and weird in a linear way as well. Right? I won't give any examples. Anyway, there's no duality there because nonlinear thinking is nothing. That's the whole thing. So I always explain nonlinear thinking as the beauty between thoughts. You have your thinking is conditioned anyway, right?
Mhm.
How we're trained. So your thinking is conditioned, and then there's another thought, and there's space between that. And for me, that's nonlinear thinking. That's where creativity lies. It's almost like observing without observing. Right? If you observe something, you start thinking immediately, why does he have a sticker on his microphone? What kind of brand microphone is this? Can't see it. You start to think that way. Is it that I don't know, why sticker? I don't like the sticker. Weird octopus, whatever. And but we do that with everything. If we see a flower and I show you a rose, you immediately go, rose, red, flower, smells good. You're not looking, right? And and that's what I mean with nonlinear thinking is to think without thinking. You're in an empty space and you lived your life in a different way. You just let it go. You just surf the wave. It doesn't mean you sit on the couch and you're smoking weed all day and you're not doing anything. I'm a nonlinear thinker. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's finding the space in between and see things differently. Also, see your own spouse different. My wife, as soon as you say this is my wife, you start thinking about all the history with your wife, like the flower, the rose, it's red, your wife, cranky, funny, whatever. And
Mhm.
no, remove that. That's for me nonlinear thinking.
I love it. Well, and how much of this do you think also is sort of tied into what, Eastern thinking around meditation and that idea of emptying and clearing your mind is it all sort of similar in that way of trying to sort of remove yourself from all the constructs
Oh
of
yes. Oh yes. I think quieting down I have ADHD, Kyle.
Mhm.
The mind was a big topic in my life. It was constantly like, I ideas every day, so many ideas, and then this, and then that, and then thoughts. And I would see someone have thoughts, and I have feelings, and everything was happening. So quieting the mind, what is really step one in embracing nonlinear thinking for me. It's to quiet down the mind. And it's not in following some kind of system in how you meditate. Oh my goodness, can we talk about that for 1 minute? Oh, what do I okay, I need to sit on that pillow exactly at that time of the day so I can meditate. Then you're not meditating. How is that meditate? If that's quieting down, if you need to sit there to quiet down your mind, then by sitting there, you're not quieting down the mind because the mind is like, I'm sitting here, so I'm meditating. So you can sit there for the next 10,000 years. You're not meditating
So how would you then so what's the optimal.
without any system. So to quiet down the mind is to quiet down the mind without a system, without I need to do it once a day or my alarm goes off. Oh, it's time to meditate. Fuck. Yeah. If that that it doesn't work that way because you start thinking, now I need to meditate. So that's already not meditation anymore.
But how would so how would the sort of I think about kind of everybody going through their everyday lives and their habits and the routines between work and family and things like that. I mean, I see how setting an alarm and setting a time kind of sets that aside to start doing that practice. I think I've pulled apart my own habits and put them back together so many times to try and understand how um how you sort of work things like that into your daily routine, without it just being completely unstructured and only happening kind of spontaneously. Like, how would someone sort of work that into their routine to not have a structure, but still be able to kind of quiet their mind?
To have it always there. So I can do two things while listening to you. I can listen to you and already be in my mind going to what is going to be my response,
Right.
or do I agree with him or not? You know, that's how most people listen.
Hmm.
That's not listening. That's preparing yourself to respond.
Right.
I I like to listen, and while I'm listening or even while I'm talking, have periods of meditation where you quiet down your brain.
Hmm.
I love to listen and quiet down my brain. I don't want to talk to myself while I'm listening to you. So I don't need to set an alarm to meditate. I'm meditating all day.
Okay.
If if I'm talking with you, I find the peace with the between sentences. If I walk my dog, I'm walking outside, I'm talking to myself about the emails and whatnot, and I'm all of a sudden aware, wait a second, I'm not doing this now. Let's flip the switch. Let's quiet the brain. Be here. Also, when someone is talking, like, okay, let's quiet down the brain and just hear what Kyle is saying without observing what he's saying.
Okay. And that to me feels more along the lines of what I think of as like mindfulness, right? Of and I can do it as I'm sitting here talking to you that I can there are moments when sort of the waters rush in and the thoughts rush in and then I can think about it for a minute and I can sort of part those seas and I can just sort of literally just be in this moment right here with you with no other sort of the time, and I gotta pick up my son, and I gotta, like and, and all those sort of things, and so I almost feel like I can do those moments of sort of parting the seas. Would you feel it would the practice then be doing more of that as much as you can to where it becomes second nature?
Yes, I love to be able to flip the switch.
Mm,
It is about quieting the brain, and it is about being able to quiet down the brain without having a conversation with your brain saying, "No, I'm going to shut you down," because that's not gonna work.
mhm,
And and then you can sit on the pillow until you're 95 and still saying to yourself, "Now I'm going to shut down my thinking," or repeat words constantly in the idea that that's quieting down your brain. But to quiet down your brain is to s- to enter that space of quietness. There's
mm,
nothing, and I think it's beautiful to be able to access that, even in a conversation, so you can
mhm,
really listen to someone and have that with you always. That you don't have to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's now time for me to meditate." You're laughing, but I know people who do that, right?
yeah, I
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's all very fun, but I need to meditate now.
yes, yeah,
What? You know, you need. I think the beauty between thoughts is the quietness, and you need
mm,
to have that with you. And 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 it's difficult, but if it works, if you have kids, I have three
mhm,
kids, and you come home after work and you have had a horrible day, nothing worked. We all know these days, right?
yeah,
Deadlines, people make promises, it's not working, and you're tired and you have a headache, and then your kids are in a complete other galaxy when you come home, right?
yeah,
What do? You're cranky at the kids, like, be quiet, and you're responding to them, right?
yeah,
If 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 you understand meditation, you enter the door, you flip the switch, and you quiet down your brain. It's quiet. There is no frustration. There's nothing, right?
right,
And then you see your kids, and then you can really see your kids, and you can hug them, and you're happy to see them. And
mhm,
then you can say, "I've had just the most terrible day at the office. I'm going to go into the bathtub for an hour and" but you're happy
right,
instead of, being all cranky and difficult. That's why meditation is so important, and that's why meditation is important to do it wherever you wanna do it.
yeah,
If you open your front door, you can do that in a meditative state. You're fucking awesome then.
yeah. No, I agree. I think that's something I've struggled with too, is that racing mind and not being for me, it's about trying to find moments where I transition better just as fast as my mind goes sometimes. We'll finish here and I will stand up and I will go put my shoes on and I'll go, pick up my son. On the way back, he's going to want to listen to there is a monster truck named Megalodon that has a theme song that sounds like a death metal band, and he's like, "Megalodon," and he's like, "Can we listen to that on the way home?" I'm like, my eyes twitching a little bit, and then I get home, and it's sort of like and then Ellie doesn't feed the dog when we get there. We should wash the lunch boxes before, and I should pack the lunch so that we're not rushed in the morning. Like, and all those sort of things come in, and what I've been trying to be better about is also find those moments of transition. And I think for me, it helps me have almost little markers of moments to be able to sort of take if I pull up to my son's school, I sort of turn everything off and I just sort of sit for a minute and I kind of mentally transition into that next place. So I sort of receive him better rather than I've had days where, I pull up and I'm still getting like notifications and somebody wants to talk and I pick him up while I'm talking, or whatever, versus like trying to find those moments where I can just sort of like mentally block everything out and sort of transition into that more, you know, meditative state or clear state to be a lot more present. But it's hard with a fast brain sometimes.
Can I share a cool exercise with you? It's so interesting. You relax your or not. You're just I always start you have to relax. It's bullshit. Whatever.
If you're not, either way.
No, whatever. Go into your brain and ask your brain, your mind, what is your next thought?
Hmm.
There is a moment I think with most people, there is a moment of blue screen there. You know, what is your next thought? Your mind is like,
Did it first.
what the fuck are you saying, dude? Yeah. What? What is your next thing? Eh, I will decide what your next thought is. This is the wrong question, little fucker. So, but this is the space between thoughts. It's so cool. You can go there immediately. What is my next thought? And then your thinking starts. Hey, that's funny. I don't have a thought. Or, or this is my next thought. But there is this period of time where it's quiet,
Yeah.
and that's your entrance to flip the switch on any occasion, anything that happens.
That's really cool. I did it. I just got the error message from my brain that was, wait, huh? I don't You're not gonna tell me? No?
Yeah. What is this for question? This is weird. Yeah.
Wow. Um, that's amazing. Well, tell me about the movement. So you got to the place where, you know, you set up the nonprofit. What did that journey look like, and when did you really sort of decide to to set it up and go full focus on it?
It's been such an interesting, amazing journey, Kyle. It's and why? It's because of this. It's because of meeting people all over the world. So I was sitting in that house, saw my kids. My kids were on the couch, all happy. You know, I didn't have anything. Kids were so happy. You're like, okay, I have a nonlinear brain in a linear world. I want to create the awareness. I'm doing this. And I asked a group of people, what is the symbol of a curious misfit? And someone said, I always send an octopus emoji for the fun of it. And then someone said about the Octopus Teacher, a documentary on
Oh
Netflix.
yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, anyone who's listening, Netflix, My Octopus Teacher won an Oscar. It's so good. And why is it good? Because the filmmaker, yeah, I was the filmmaker. The filmmaker was stressed out. The filmmaker went home, right? I think he was 44 as well. I don't know. But he was in a burnout as a filmmaker thinking, what am I doing? You know, what does this linear world want from me? So he went diving into the ocean every day, go into the nonlinear world where you're thinking. Everyone who's diving knows that, you know, the quietness of the mind is something different underwater. And then he met this octopus, and the octopus, 8 arms, 9 brains, you know, it's 3 hearts. It's awesome. And I saw that and I thought, this is it. It's the octopus movement because that sounded really funny. Uh,
Yeah. What boys home from school?
yay. Um, hooray. And the octopus is so cool. It resonated so much with me because it felt like I have 3 hearts, you know, and 9 brains and 8 arms, and I adjust myself and I change color and I escape the box and that I need to use the octopus. And I've been so lucky with that because of the octopus movements grew so fast because many people in the beginning were saying, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be a part of it because this is, you know, the octopus movement. This is so cool. And and also for the nonlinear thinkers, the people that are slightly different, and also the space in neurodiversity, also they're all fan of an octopus. You know, and like these are incredible creatures. And and that's the journey. And I started with 50 members, and I now have 8,500 in 95 countries. And it's working.
Amazing.
And it's working. And I also wanted to I didn't wanna, show, "Look what I can," but I just wanted to do it, I came from that situation of, "This is me, this is the rest of the world, this is what I wanna do, so I'm doing it regardless of whatever." So I just had my laptop and nothing else, no income, no stability, but I was okay, I knew that I survived that, so I was just building, and I was just, "This is me. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know you're very cool. I need to talk to you, and you need to talk to that other person, and that person in Bangladesh is awesome." And, and that journey keeps going, and it still today keeps going. I just got the invitation to go to the World Economic Forum to be there on a panel and talk about this kind of stuff. It's a journey every day, and we're growing, and we're addressing the 6 crises in the world. We're doing think tanks. We're bringing in classrooms into the think tanks. We have a partnership with NASA. We do all the cool things you can imagine. It's and I also wanted to prove in a way that everything is possible.
Yep.
And I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. I need an investor. I need this. I need that. And I didn't need anything. I, I needed myself to be my true self and to do the things that I'm doing. And I'm working my ass off every day because I enjoy it. And my day starts at 6:30 in the morning and it goes until 11 in the evening. And it goes on and on and on. And it because I love it. I love
Yeah.
connecting to people, and I love listening to all these weirdos in the world and connecting them all together and thinking, "We're gonna solve the problem within the educational system. We're going to create a new educational system with the Octopus movement. We're going to create a huge difference in leadership." We're already doing that. We're creating a network now of 100 CEOs. We're installing the nonlinear manager. A nonlinear manager, quickly explain, I'm so excited about this. A nonlinear manager, so simple. It's a manager, a leader who has the authority to pause the system, solve the problem, reactivate the system. So here you are at school, there's a problem, and you are sent to the nonlinear manager, and that person is going to explore how to really help you
Right.
and forget about all the systems that are in place. We're, we're going to ignore them. We're going to pause them, solve this. And then when everything goes well, we reactivate the system for you. It's so simple, Cal. Nobody's doing it. And most people are saying, sorry, but this is how the system works.
Right.
We created systems, and that's a good thing. I'm not against systems, but it's weird to be, you know, behind the system saying, "I cannot do anything because the system is
The
there."
machine is running, and the machine has always run. Don't question the machine. It's and it moves so fast, you're gonna get left behind if you don't. But then that just means that the cycles just keep going and going and going, and no one is taking that moment. I love that idea. I got that mental image of essentially stopping the educational system for a child in the 8th grade and being like, "Nope, we're gonna take a minute and we're gonna sort of make sure that, address this or address that or sort of understand and support. Now we will restart it." But typically, you would think, the standard system now, no, we can't stop it. He's got a test on Tuesday. Like,
And if we start doing this for one person, we have to do it for these
right.
kind of ridiculous things. And
Yeah.
there's this story about a little girl who has dyslexia, severe dyslexia. She goes to an international school in Brussels. She's the best of her class, absolutely wonderful, gorgeous child, super intelligent, goes to another country, comes into a different international school, not a private one anymore, but linked to the government. And she came into the class, and because of her dyslexia, they wanted to kick her out of the IB system because she wasn't good enough. So the parent was like questioning, but this is weird because the girl is still the same girl. And the only thing that changed was the school. Now my girl is kicking out. And, what is this? And this is the perfect example of, okay, let's pause the system here. Let's see what we can really do. And that girl was my daughter, by the way, and I had to go to court.
Oh my gosh.
And I lost. And the judge said to me, I don't know what to do. And it took an hour, that whole hearing. And at the end, the judge said to me, I don't know what to do. So we're going to ask child services what to do, you know. And child services, there was this 21-year-old, seriously, 22 or whatever, very young, straight out of college. She was there for child services, and she said, well, according to the system, the school knows best because they're the professional institution and not the emotional dad. That's what she said. And then the judge said, well, not the emotional dad, but the smart dad who is worried about his child. But I need to listen to the system. And therefore, your daughter is kicked off of the international school.
Oh my gosh.
And this is an example why we should pause this and say, wait a second. And it's her life, Kyle. It's not fair. The same thing with Yoka. She's an 83-year-old amazing woman, Holocaust survivor, a good friend of mine. She used to live half of the year in California, half of the year in the Netherlands. Her only possession was 2 suitcases. That's it. You know, talking about nonlinear free spirits. That's rare. And she decided to go back to the Netherlands and live in the Netherlands. Make a very long story short, she was renting a holiday home because she didn't have anything in the Netherlands. And she wanted to register herself at the commune, at the government, local government. And she couldn't because you cannot register yourself in a holiday home. But she didn't have a house. And then the government came to her holiday home and said, you need to leave this place within 2 weeks, otherwise we will kick you out. And she said, what? And they said, sorry, but that's the system. And
Wait,
that's
then
why
when you can't rent a place for a month?
you can, but you cannot register that as your address where you're registered at the government.
You need to actually be a visitor. You can't be trying to sort
No,
of
so you
live there
you
for a short.
cannot live in a holiday home. So it needs to be your own house. You bought it or you're renting it, and it cannot be a holiday home.
Yeah. That's
We need to pause the system
right.
sometimes, solve a problem, and Yoka, it got all solved, and she's a wonderful person. And he was like, "What are you saying?" She's she's a tough cookie, but people are damaged because it's so easy to say it, but that's how the system works. And I think the new form of leadership in today's world is a nonlinear kind of leadership where we can say, okay, let's pause this, let's solve this, and reactivate. And we'll save a lot of money. I wrote an article about it. Only in the US, we'll save $680 billion a year.
I think you also have I sort of consider myself in the Nintendo generation, because I find that very specifically being born in '79 and going up through that, like, Atari, Nintendo sort of, '80s, '90s MTV, like, growing up through that period, anyone older than that feels a little bit more like my parents' traditional kind of, resume, suit and tie interview sort of. But now I feel like, my generation, our generation, and younger, is more sort of against or breaking apart the systems of how we you have to be in a company for 10 or 15 years to so they'll take you serious, versus working anywhere, living anywhere, renting Airbnb type homes anywhere, sort of, and breaking apart all of those white picket fence sort of long-term job kind of things and saying, well, how do I want to live my life? And now I feel like it's actually more standard that people just stay at a job for 2 years and then say, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go somewhere else and learn something else or do something else." And hopefully, when I look at my boys who are 8 and 4, that it even progresses further of, like, what's possible, and I don't have to sort of go down the sort of path that was drawn in the 60s, 70s, and 80s about this is how you're supposed to sort of, set your sights and just, put your head down and keep going versus what do you want to do? If you want to start becoming an artist at 10, like, and start selling your work, if you want to start becoming a photographer, you have to wait. Yeah, totally. You don't have to wait to go through all the formal stuff. You can just do it. And that's what I really want to hopefully pass down to my boys is the idea that you don't have to go through any of these sort of traditional formal processes. You can just start doing it today. So
And without any duality. If you do wanna do that, if you do wanna go the traditional way, that's fine, right? That it would be so nice to have a world like within the Octopus movement where we don't have any rules and expectations. We don't. If I see a lot of communities and then you see the community rules first. I always find that interesting. Welcome to our community. These are the rules. Like, okay, I'm out. I don't know. Be respectful to each other. Well, if you start with that, that means I don't want to be here. It's it would be so nice if we can just do whatever we want to do. If you want to work for 20 years at a company, that's fine. If you want to be a digital nomad, that's fine. If we're all humans, and if you decide to go that way, that's awesome. And if you go that way, that's awesome too. It's
but you can't say this one way is the standard, and we all should sort of
no.
point towards that, and that's where it starts to break apart. And hopefully, our generations and younger generations start to see and act in that in that manner more. Um, Amazing. This is so fun. I always loved, and we've talked about we got to do this. We got to do this at least like once a month. Let's just is get on and have no rules conversations.
No rules conversations, no expectations, nothing on the agenda, and like, "Oh, I need to talk about this.
Yes,
I need to"
exactly. I will
No, no,
send you
no,
the
just
bullet points
fling.
before our conversation.
Yeah. And that's also fine. Yeah, I've had that several times. Yeah, like, "Oh, these are the questions already. Oh, that's nice. I know what's happening." Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
I love it when things happen organically and you find yourself even starting on one topic and then ending up on another and just letting it go where the river flows and sometimes those are the most fun. Um,
This
Amazing.
what this was the midlife crisis.
This episode brought to you by Midlife Crisis Incorporated.
What is a typical midlife crisis product, by the way? We should be sponsored by that. I don't
By
know.
Red Por-
Was there a
this
product?
this episode is brought to you by Red Porsches. Yeah.
That would be fun.
You're amazing, and I love the way your brain works and thinks, and I appreciate you coming on and talking about the octopus movement and your journey and your story, and I definitely want you to come back again in the future.
Yay. I would love that. And
Amazing.
I love dancing with you, Kyle, so let's keep doing that.
All right, let's dance.